What is going on, y'all? Xavier here, and today I'm back with another Make Academy lesson. If you're just joining us, I'm documenting my journey from complete beginner to running my own AI business, following a 3-phase plan to get me there, but it all starts with mastering workflow automation. That's why we're powering through these lessons. We're in the middle of the intermediate section now. Last video, we looked at a few questionable use cases for iterators and aggregators. Today we're gonna start the next course in this section, which will go into the get and map functions. But we're only gonna cover the first unit of this course today, which is going to introduce the get function. If you want the full breakdown of my business plan and its current state, I will put that video up there as well as in the description below. But without further ado, let's get into today's lesson. All right, so back in our course, I know I didn't show going into it, but it's literally just this course in the intermediate section using get and map functions. So we have our introduction here. I'll just read this part right here. This course will explore the following topics: adding the get function, the map function, get and map combined, and get map use cases. So now I can mark this task as complete, and it'll take us to unit 1, which is the get function. So let's jump right into this. Unit introduction. Welcome to the first unit of the course using get and map functions. This is the second course of the Make Intermediate learning path. In this first unit, you will learn how to retrieve get values from an array and a collection using the get function. Make sure you feel comfortable with terms such as arrays and collections. We cover this in the course in Introduction to Data Types and Data Structures. All right, so I'm gonna click next. Looks like we have a little question here. Function throwback. In this course, you are going to use functions. So let's refresh your memory on that a bit. Which of the following best describes the functions in Make? We have transforming data from a numerical to a text data type, transforming data so every type is the same, or transforming data so it's easier to read and process. So I believe it's the third one. Awesome. And Make functions are tools used to change data from one form to another, so it's easier to read and process. Okay, just a little refresher on functions. Now I'm gonna click next. Data type recap, arrays and collections. As you might remember from the course on data types and data structures, arrays and collections can get pretty complex. Sometimes you can deal with a collection of collections or an array of collections. In cases like this, it would mean that you have multiple structures nested inside your arrays or collections. It also means that there is a lot of data and you might not necessarily need all of it. You might wonder how to extract a specific item from a list or get a specific item based on its name. In this course, you will explore exactly that and learn how to extract items from an array using the get function. All right, yeah, so when it comes to arrays and collections, you're not always filtering out all of that information. And so you know how kind of like the array aggregator kind of takes things from, you know, a different collection or a different array, specific things that you clarify, and puts it into another module by itself in a single bundle. The get function is kind of like the same thing, except you're just grabbing specific items. And the function aspect of it is something that's different too, because, you know, the array aggregator is a module, but we're dealing with a function, which in this case is manipulating the data from within the module. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense right now, but as we go through this unit, it'll make a lot more sense. So I'm gonna click next. What is this function doing? Let's explore the get function to see what you can achieve with it. Okay, so we have an array, and then we have an output here. I'm gonna click on this get function. It says get extracts an item from the list. In this example, it is getting the 4th item in the array and outputting it into a collection. Right, so you can grab specific items in your array or collection. In this case, one item, number 4. That's it for this page. I'll click next. The get function. Now let's delve into some theory. What does it do? The get function is used to extract a specific value from any object. It can be a single collection, an array of simple objects, or an array of collections. The get function in Make acts like a messenger that goes to another system asks for specific information, and brings it back to you so you can use it further in your scenarios. It's like asking another system, hey, give me this particular piece of information. Think of it as going to a big shoe store and asking the shop assistant for a particular pair of purple boots you want to try. You're just getting specific things. An example, the get function in make is very similar to how you would map an item, but in some cases, you might not know in advance which fields you will receive. Imagine a collection of shoes data. From time to time, some shoes might be vegan. What? And they'd have a field, vegan friendly, that equals to true. In that case, another field called material would also be provided. Since you don't always have this field, it might not appear in the mapping panel. That's when the get function is very useful, because you can combine it with an if function. If the boots are vegan friendly, what are vegan friendly boots? You will get the material that they are made of. Note that in this example, you would have to iterate over the items in the close array first. Bear in mind that get on its own is not that useful most of the time. It really shines when combined with other functions, as you will learn in the next units. Okay, so I'm not even gonna jump into this example because really, vegan friendly shoes? Come on. But we're able to get specific things. Say you have a whole collection or a whole array of items and you only want one of those items. You can use the get function to get that one item or get that one collection or get that one object from the list of whatever you're looking into, right? Weird example, and then it also says, this is important, that the get function on its own is not that useful and it shines mostly when you combine it with other functions. Then up here we have where can I find it? You'll find the get function and the mapping panel under general functions. If you hover over it, you will see the explanation of the function and some examples on how to use it. Notice on the screenshot that it has a specific structure. Let's go on to explore this in more detail, right? So the structure is talking about how you type it into your fields, right? You can't put it out of order or else the function won't work properly. So it's just talking about how you have to have the get with open parentheses, whatever you're putting in there, and then a semicolon, blah, blah, blah. So that's what we're gonna look at in the next page. I'm gonna click next. The get function structure. Let's break down the structure of the get function. All right, so I'm gonna click on this little bubble. First, you need to define the object or array from which you want to extract the information. Think of it as the source from which you want to fetch your data. In our boots example, the source was the boot. In real life, this would be a shoe shop. Remember that you can recognize a collection or an array by hovering over the item to see its data type and by the drop-down arrow in front of it. So we put get, open parentheses, and then the object or array that we are pulling from. Then we have a semicolon and then a path. I'm gonna click on this other bubble. Next, you need to define the value path. This allows you to specify the exact location or path within the retrieved data where the value you want is located. It's like providing directions to make on where to find the specific information you're interested in within the retrieved data. It's like telling the shop assistant what you're looking for. This allows you to extract specific information from complex data structures. You can compare this to finding the perfect pair of boots in a huge shopping center. So in order, it's get with an open parentheses, what you want, which is the boots, and where to find them. So what you're looking for, object or array, and where you can find it is the path. I'm gonna click next. Dot notation. How do you access specific elements inside an array or collection? The answer is dot notation. All right, so we have a couple of tabs here. I'm gonna start with what is it? To access nested objects, you have to use dot notation. Dot notation is the most common way to access elements in JavaScript, which is the programming language Make uses. To use dot notation, you simply write the name of the object followed by a dot and then the name of the property you want to access. Okay, so name of object, name of property. It's kind of like the key value pairs. Then we have an example. You have a store inventory or a collection of collections. And within that inventory, you have a single item named boots. This item has properties like color, brand, and size. To access the color property of the boots item using dot notation, you would write boots.color. This tells the program to retrieve or modify the value of the color property within the boots object. So in this example, you can see the dot notation for the color of the boots with this function, which is get, open parentheses, the object or array, so where you can find it, semicolon, dot notation for the color boots, which in this case would be boots.color, and then close the parentheses. And if you did the function correctly, you would get just the answer for the color of the boots located in the store, which would be purple, okay? Then we have raw names. In Make, to access your nested objects, you need to know the raw name if it is a collection, and the index if it is an array. The raw name is the backend name of the item. It allows you to specify the name of an item or element in its original or unmodified format. This ensures that the item's name is used exactly as it is without any additional formatting or transformations applied by the module. So basically, using the raw name, or in the case of arrays, the index, will make it so that when you're grabbing or getting this item or collection of information from whatever module it's in, if that module has done some kind of modification, say you changed the way it looks, changed, the color, I don't know if you can even do that, but like say the module did something, it turned it into a string, turned it into a math problem, I don't know, anything that the module did, if you're trying to get that information in its original form, like before that module did something to it, using the raw name or the index, if it's an array, will make it so that it's the unedited version of that information. So not changed to a string or not changed to a different color, I don't know. But yeah, raw name is so it gets it without any additional formatting from the module. They just said that, but I just like to try to explain things in a different way so that, it's just how my mind works. So if you don't understand it the first time, maybe you'll understand it the second time. I don't know. Anyways, now we got how to use it. To find the raw name of the item, hover over the item. You'll see the pop-up text appear. Look for raw. What comes after the colon is the raw name of the item. You can then either copy and paste it or type the raw name in the field you need. Right, so just hovering over these items, these mappable items in the module will show the raw name right here. So in this case, item name is item_name or item_price. Then we got important. It's really important to remember that raw names are case sensitive. This means that the spelling has to match exactly. Otherwise, it will return empty results. All parameters in the raw name are case sensitive. Even though if in the particular example, the item's label differs from its raw name only in capitalization. It is necessary to use the raw name exactly as it is written. On the first image, the raw name is the same as the item name. In this case, typing item_color would be incorrect. The raw name does not always match the item name. On the second image, you can see that the item name is contact ID and the raw name is just ID. Right, so in this example, they said if you type item color, it would be incorrect because the I and the C are capitalized in this, but the raw name shows it as 2 lowercase. So does this little mappable tab here. So in this case, the raw name and the label are the same. But in this case, the label is contact ID and the raw name is ID, lowercase ID. So you have to make sure that if you're using the get function, you are grabbing the actual raw name of the item that you're trying to get. Okay, I'm gonna click next. Use case scenario part 1. You covered the theory, so now you are ready to start building your scenario. To set the context for the scenario you'll build, imagine you have an e-shop that sells clothes and you want to gather data on the customer's spending habits. You want to know how many items they buy, their details, and what are the most expensive garments on their shopping list. You are going to create a scenario which extracts the most expensive items from a shopping order using the sort and get functions. For the sake of this exercise, we will provide you with the sample JSON data that you will use in your scenario. But note that the source data can come from any other apps Make supports, or you can edit it manually. All right, so we're trying to find the most expensive items on a shopping list. I'll click next slide. Click create new scenario. Name it make intermediate 2-1. Add parse JSON module. Copy this JSON and paste it into the JSON string field. You can also start from this template. The JSON contains the data of your order. Save your module mapping. Okay, so we have to copy this JSON and make a new scenario and add the parse JSON module and put that JSON in the JSON string field. We're naming it make intermediate 2-1. So let's do that real quick. So new scenario, I named it make intermediate 2-1. Now we're going to add our parse JSON in the string JSON string field, pasting our string. Save that, and I'm gonna save the scenario. Save it anyways. Now we can click the next slide. Now you'd probably want to see what data you have entered. Click run this module only to see the output of the JSON module. JSON. You will notice that your JSON string outputs as a collection with the details of your shopping basket, the date of the order, order ID, and total price. The items list is an array consisting of 6 collections. This means that your order consists of 6 items. Each item has its item name, price, and color. So run this module only to get our 6 collections. Right click, run this module only. Now we have our output showing one bundle, which is a collection of shopping baskets. Here, if I click on the shopping basket tab, we can go into our items and we'll see that we have 6 collections and a total price and order ID. If we go into these individual collections of items, we will see the name, the price, and the color. So in this one, it's a summer hat for $25 and it's brown for item 1. Item 4 is leather boots for the price of $70 and they are dark brown. So yeah, you get the gist of it. Different collections with different items, prices, and colors. I'm gonna click next slide. Now you have the list of items from the shopping order. The next step is to sort the items by price. This might help you understand what your customers buy and how much it costs. Add tools set multiple variables module. Under variables, click add item. Under variable name, type array sorted by price. Okay, so we're going to add a set multiple variables module. Under variables, we're clicking add an item. Under variable name, we're going to type array sorted by price. All right, so add another module. We can go into our tools, set multiple variables module. Now we're in this module and we can click on add item, and we're just naming the variable array sorted by price, just like that. Save it and save the scenario. What we got to do next. Under variable value, you will add the function. This function will sort the values of your array according to the price in the descending order, meaning the most expensive items will be on the top and the least expensive items on the bottom. To do this, you will use the sort function. This function sorts the values of an array in the order you specify. Okay, so we're adding the function in variable value, which is this next little field below the name. You can find the sort function under the functions for working with arrays. If you hover over it, you will see the explanation of how to use this function. Notice that it expects a specific kind of syntax. Go on to the next part of the exercise to see how to map the sort function. All right, so I'm gonna click next. Use case scenario part 2. In the variable value field, add the sort array function. You want to extract the item price in the descending order from the shopping basket array. Inside the function, add the shopping basket item array. Then type semicolon DESC to sort in descending order. Next, add another semicolon and type the raw name item price as the key to sort by. Finally, close down the function with an ending parentheses. So if I click on the image, we can see this play out. So they're going into the variable value field. We're adding the sort function from arrays, then putting shopping basket items with a semicolon, descending, another semicolon, and then the raw name of the item price, which in this case is just item underscore price, and then closing the parentheses. So let's go into our scenario and do that. So I'm opening the set multiple variables module. We need to click on the function tab that is for working with arrays. First thing we are going to add is the sort function. Inside of the parentheses, we need to map the items from the shopping basket, just like that. Add a semicolon. Then we're going to type descending, like that. Add another semicolon. And as the key to sort by, we need to get the raw name for the item price. So if I click on this little arrow, it'll bring down the other items, and hovering over the item price will give me the raw name, which is item underscore price in all lowercase. So we're gonna type this raw name after the next and final semicolon. Just like that. Make sure the function is closed with a closing parentheses, and just double check this looks the same as the one in the example, and it looks similar to me. So I'm gonna save it and see what we gotta do next. I'm gonna click next slide. Let's take a moment to break the sort function down. In this instance, shopping basket items is your array. DESC or descending is the order, and item underscore price is the key to sort by. Note that you need to use the raw name for the key. The key is case sensitive, which means you have to type it, or better, copy and paste exactly as it is. To find out your key, hover over the item until you see the raw name. Ensure there are no spaces in your function. Yeah, okay, so this is our function complete. We have to make sure it follows the same order every time, basically. The function with an open parentheses, shopping basket or the item that you're looking for, the order, in this case it's descending, and then the item price, which is the key to sort. All right, so I'm gonna click next slide. Let's see if the function works properly. Click run once and then check the output of the set a variable module. It should show the list of items, but sorted in a way that the most expensive one is on top and the cheapest one on the bottom. So let's see if we set this up correctly. I'm gonna go into our scenario, click run once, and let's see what this module produced. We have one bundle with an array sorted by price, which is what we put in here. If we click on the array, we have 6 collections now, and they are descending in price from most expensive to least expensive. So at number 1, we have our leather boots for 70. And at the bottom, we have our socks with logo for 8. So our scenario worked out perfectly fine, right? I can see this being helpful with, what they were trying to prove in the first place, which was, being able to see what people are buying and being able to see the patterns in people's buying habits, or just being able to see where people are spending the most money, which products are selling the most, and how much they cost. And you can also do this in other ways using different functions, different layouts. And then from here, we can take this information and then just put it on a spreadsheet or a push notification, or a newsletter or something. Like, obviously we wouldn't put this in a newsletter, but just thinking of different ways we could just take information, make it so it's useful, and then basically push that information out, all without needing to organize it ourselves, other than setting up these functions and setting up these scenarios. But now There are different tools that you can just use natural language and get all of these layouts or like agents or scenarios built for you. But I think it's important to be able to understand what's going on in these scenarios and what you're actually looking at before we actually use those more advanced tools, just because if something happens or something breaks, I want to be able to know where it's coming from, why it's happening, and how I can fix it. So with that being said, this is really cool. This array that we sorted by price, we could even make it so it's sorted by color or sorted by the item itself. We don't have to do by price. This is just an example, and this is even, I think, a more useful use case than the previous use cases that we looked at with iterators and array aggregators. But we still have a couple more slides to go through, so let's go to the next one and see what they're talking about. The next step is to extract the most expensive item from the shopping list. To do this, you'll use the get function. Add another set multiple variables module under variables. Click add item. Under variable name, type most expensive item. Under variable value, enter the get function. Inside the parentheses, add the item array sorted by price. Then add a semicolon and then type one.item_name and close the function with an ending parentheses. It should look like the image here. All right, so yeah, we're kind of doing the same thing. I'm gonna try to put these side by side so you can see what I'm talking about. In this original one that we did, we had the variable name as array sorted by price. The next one, we're gonna have it most expensive item, and that's just the name. That's just how it's displayed. And then in the initial one, we had the sort shopping basket item, semicolon descending, semicolon item price. And this next one, we're going to be grabbing the array sorted by price, which is this variable that we created. We're also using the get function instead of the sort function. So we're using get array sorted by price, which is this, semicolon item name, and we're getting the first item name because we already set it so that the first item is the most expensive one with this array sorted by price module. So if we're getting number one, that's what this one is for. We're getting the name of the first item in the array. So I'll just move this to the side. I can add another module. We're going to add another tool, set multiple variables module. Click on add item. Variable name is going to be most expensive item. And then for our variable value, we're going to add our function. And for this one, in general functions, we will find the get function right here. In front of the first semicolon, we're going to add our array from this star tab, array sorted by price, like that. And then after the first semicolon, we need to type one.item_name, just like that. Closed parentheses, save it. And now we have our finished scenario. I'm gonna save the scenario. Now I'm gonna click next slide. To break it down, get is the function / action you want to perform. Array sorted by price is your array from the previous module from which you want to extract items. One is the index, the position of the item inside the array or collection, and item name is the specific info you want to extract from your array. All right, I'm gonna click next slide. Let's try the scenario. Click run once. Check the output of the last module. It should return the most expensive item from the list. In this example, this is leather boots. All right, so let's see if we got leather boots for our most expensive item. I'm gonna click run once, open up the results, and the leather boots is the most expensive item. Nice, cool. So worked out perfectly. There's no other information because we just extracted the name of the most expensive item. But now you can see that the most expensive item is an actual mappable item that we can therefore put into any other module and use that going forward. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to vary depending on what the most expensive item is, but you can probably already see, the power of being able to just have this information at your fingertips. Like just this information alone, without any of the other things that we can do with this website, being able to do this by itself is already huge. This stuff alone gives me a lot of hope in, being able to start a business in this area. Just because, obviously I'm no tech professional, so being able to do this at a beginner level is incredible. So with that being said, we can go back to our course and finish this slide. Great work. You have successfully built a scenario using two functions, sort and get. Note that this scenario can be built on. You can send this data further to a messaging system or a spreadsheet, whatever suits your needs. All right, so I'm gonna click next, and that's the end of the unit. So by now you should have an understanding of how to use the get and sort functions, why these functions are useful, dot notation, and raw names. Okay, yeah, that was a really good unit. A lot of information, but very insightful. I think this course is gonna have some really good information, so I'm looking forward to that. In the next video, we'll be covering the map function in unit 2, and then following videos we'll get into combining them, which seems to be the way to use them properly. But with that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. If you made it this far into the video, I just want to say I appreciate you for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you guys are enjoying this type of tutorial content. I really want to branch out and kind of do some other kind of content relating to startups and business revolving around using the help of AI. So if you guys have any ideas or like things you really want to see on this channel, please let me know in the comments. I'm always trying to expand my knowledge in the space, and I'm open to hearing any type of insights or ideas that you guys might have. So with that being said, I appreciate you watching. If you found any of this stuff interesting or you'd like to see more, please feel free to drop a like, comment your thoughts, or hit that subscribe button. That's going to be it for me for today. Hope to see you in the next one.